Hello, this is Jennie at Designs with Paper, and I have one more post-Christmas Christmas card and craft video for you for this year. Yes, I know it's past Christmas, but I have one more card I wanted to share with you guys. I have one stamp set that is probably my absolute favorite stamp set, and it is this Jingle All The Way stamp set from My Favorite Things Stamps. I love the Santas, I love the sentiments, and I had to make a set of cards with this stamp set. One of the things that I really like to do when I have a stamp set with multiple images is stamp them all out and color them, and then make as many cards as I can with the images in that stamp set. So today I will be doing that with this stamp set. I have added a piece of Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock to my Misty, and I am just putting all of the stamped images, or all of the images rather, into my Misty, and I will stamp them. I'm just kind of arranging them how I think they should be, give it enough room to cut them out because I do not have the dies for this stamp set. Most of the time when I use this stamp set, I use my Brother Scan and Cut to cut out the images. Today I'm just going to fussy cut them. I will be using Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink because I also am going to Copic color these images. Now, for the sake of time, I did not show the Copic coloring in this video. I do have that footage. If it is something you would like to see, shoot me a comment down below and I will for sure upload that. So now that I have all of the images stamped and colored and cut out, I am ready to make the cards. I purchased a bunch of stuff from Spellbinders recently, and they sent me this paper pad as kind of a thank you for ordering a bunch of stuff. And I have chosen 3 different pattern papers from this stack to use as backgrounds for my card. I thought they were kind of perfect. However, I did end up changing my mind on one. I also have 2 sheets of this dark green cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 11 inches down the middle. And I have pulled out my bag of, what are those things called? Action Wobblers. We're going to have a fun interactive card. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and score 3 of these 4 pieces of cardstock at 5 1/2. So they become 5 1/2 inches tall by 4 1/4 inches wide, making a top folding portrait style card. And then I will take these 3 pattern papers and cut them down to be 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches to make a card panel. And I just cut all 3 down at one time. This one is a white background with gold gifts embossed on it. This is a kind of green with some Christmas Santa Claus words. And this is a black background with white Christmas trees. I end up changing my mind on this piece of paper. It became a little bit too busy for what I was trying to do. So the next step in this process is to figure out which Santa is going to go on which card and which of the other images are going to go with him. So there is a Christmas tree, a little girl, a reindeer, and a gift. So I'm just kind of putting the tree and the gift with the middle Santa. I will put the reindeer with one Santa on the right and the girl with the Santa on the left. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put the cards together. Copic coloring for sure took way more time than the rest of this. And this is where I've decided that black and white is just too much. And I've decided to go ahead and use this gray and white print instead. So I will trim that one down really quick, and it will also be cut down to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And that is a little less busy and a little bit easier to see the Santa Claus and the little girl on. So these 2 images are the ones that I am going to add to the card with Action Wobblers. Action Wobblers are probably my favorite way of making an interactive card, especially with this stamp set, because it has a sentiment that says Jingle All The Way, and this Santa looks like he's about ready to get down and get his jitterbug on. So I very often, when I color him, I put him on an Action Wobbler because why not? He already looks like he's dancing. So first I will go ahead and adhere this pattern paper to my background. I'm just going to kind of line it up with the grid on my craft mat so that I can make sure it's straight, and there's a border all the way around. It's not measured, but the same size border all the way around. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the action wobblers. Now, this kind of took me a hot minute because you got to peel off some little tiny pieces of release tape. And I had to remember for a minute which piece went where. And the open piece goes on the back of the image, and the other side of the spring that is solid goes on the front of your card. At least that's the way I do it. And when you take it off, he dances. You flick him and he dances, and I love it. And the action wobblers that I have are actually the mini action wobblers, so I can even put one on the back of this little girl. So the little girl and the Santa can both dance if I can get the backing paper off. And I love, love, love it. So now you can pick that up and you just kind of flick them with your finger and they dance and they flatten and it goes right into a regular A2 size envelope. I've never had to pay extra postage for these. I have mailed them. Most of the time I just hand deliver them, but I have mailed them. So I am going to take a scrap piece of that Nina cardstock and I'm going to just pull out a stamp block and that Jingle All The Way sentiment. And I will go ahead and put that stamp onto my stamp block. I am using the grid on my mat and the grid on the stamp block to line it up and make sure that stamp is straight. I'm going rogue here. I'm not using my Misty, but I am using this VersaClear ink in Nocturne Black because it is like one stamp stamping. It gives the best single stamp images, hands down. I'm just going to hold it there for a second. I'm not even hardly putting any pressure on it. And bingo, perfect sentiment. So I am going to cut this out with one of these Spellbinders banner dies. This is one of the things that I purchased when I got that pattern paper for free. Gotta love the freebies. And I am just going to line this up and tape it down with a piece of low-tack tape so that the die does not shift while I am sticking it through my die cut machine. Last thing I want to do is cut the sentiment in half because I was not patient enough to take a little piece of tape and tape it down. This washi tape I'm using is just some really old pattern paper tape. Paper tape. Wow. It doesn't stick very good to anything, but it holds the dies down in place. And there is a little bit of etching in that die so that you can kind of see the banner tails. A little bit hard to see on video, but in real life it looks kind of pretty. I am going to go ahead and just plop that down. I'm debating foam tape or just laying it down. And I think because of the images popped up on the action wobblers, I need to just put it down with some double-sided adhesive. So I will pull out my ATG tape gun. There's the word. And just, where do I want to put the banner? On the top, on the bottom, on the top, on the bottom. I really debated this for a hot minute. And I should have just stuck it down because in the end, I put it right where I thought it needed to be in the first place. Whatever, right? Okay, so card number 1 is done and it's awesome and he dances. And I know you have already heard me say this before, but I love Santa. He's kind of my second favorite thing about Christmas. Okay, card number 2. We are going to take this picture of Santa Claus with his list and the tree and the present. And we're going to kind of arrange them. And I did kind of fiddle with those for a couple minutes. I wanted, Santa's bigger than the tree, so I wanted to add a little bit of perspective. I put in the tree in the background, the present up front, And then I decided it needed to be popped off the page just a little bit, so I die cut a gold circle because this pattern paper is white with gold embossed or gold printed packages, presents. So I thought a gold circle would be kind of perfect for this card. Again, I will line that up with the grid mat on my desk so that I can make sure that I have a border all the way around the pattern paper. I am going to adhere that circle right onto the front of my card with a little bit of double-sided adhesive. And then I'll just add the images and a sentiment. Sorry, my voice is a little weird today. Where we live in the fall, it gets kind of wet and the leaves get kind of moldy and my allergies kick into high gear and I sound like some kind of prepubescent teenager waiting for my voice to crack. Sorry. Okay, so now that I have figured out where everybody's going to go, I am going to pull out my tweezers and my liquid glue. And I'm using my tweezers because my fingernails have all broken off and they're super short and I can't pick anything up. And then I won't get glue on my fingers, and then you won't see me fiddling with the gluey fingers in the video because it makes me nuts, and I subconsciously fidget with my hands when I get glue on them. And it's weird. And I don't want you to be weirded out by my awesome Santa Claus card. Now that I have that Christmas tree put down, I can put down the Santa Claus and the gift. And we're just rocking and rolling here. This video is in itself not very long. Admittedly, I did edit out some of the longer fidgetier parts. But it's a super cute card, which is why I had to show it to you, even though I know Christmas has technically already passed, but we're still embracing the Christmas season right now, right? We haven't hit New Year's Eve yet. We haven't hit New Year's. Kids haven't gone back to school. We're still just immersing ourselves, there's the word, in this Christmas season. Okay, second card, all it needs now is a sentiment. I am going to put my stamp block on top just long enough to get that glue to dry. And before I add a sentiment, I will go back and go to my third one. And this is a Santa Claus with the list. The other Santa Claus has a gift. Sorry, my bad. And on this one, I'm going to use the sentiment that says you're on the nice list. Because everybody wants to be on Santa's nice list. Although, for real, if you talk to my two boys, they're like 9 and 12. Sometimes I question whether or not they really want to be on the nice list. Because, yeah, they're pushing my buttons. But that's okay, because that's what children do, and I'm the mom, and I will just take a breath and reset my buttons, right? And I took a minute. I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to arrange this card, if I wanted to put another piece of paper behind them, if I wanted to pop them up on foam tape or put them on action wobblers. And then I remembered I had this gold glitter paper frame from another card, that one that I did with the watercolor background. Yes, this frame is from that. And it was sitting on my desk and I couldn't not use it. And it was perfectly sized to fit this card. So I am going to get out my tweezers so that I can prevent the glue from getting all over my fingers. Except that the frame is too floppy and it won't hold in the tweezers. So yeah, I'm going to end up with glue all over my fingers and you'll probably see me fussing at it for the rest of the video, which gratefully isn't very much longer. This glue is really awesome. It comes out, at this point in time, it's coming out really well. Sometimes I feel like I squeeze it just a little too much and then I've got Glue-mageddon all over my desk. That's just the nature of liquid adhesive and my personality. We are not like wine and cheese, we're like oil and water. You know, sometimes we mix, sometimes we don't. Most of the time we don't. All right, anyway, back to the card. So now I have the frame put on there and there's just this little bit hanging off the edge. And for a second and a half, I was going to try and trim it down with my paper trimmer. And then I said, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to let it be because if I start fussing with that, I'm going to mess it all up. So I walked away. Now I am going to go ahead and add my reindeer and my Santa Claus. And you probably can't tell, but I have colored this reindeer to look like Rudolph with a little red nose. I will be using my tweezers and my liquid glue to glue him down to the front of the card. And we're almost done with the third card, y'all. Sorry, for some reason when I do my voiceovers, my Southern really comes out, and I'm not actually Southern, although I have lived here longer than I've lived everywhere else in my life. So I guess, I don't know. My kids are Southern. Most of my kids were born here. Half of my kids were born here. Yeah, so I guess technically we're Southerners now. Okay, anyway. I'm kind of babbling on this card. I don't know why. I probably should have sped this up so you didn't have to hear me babble as much, but also, it's okay. So there we have Santa Claus and his Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and we are going to go ahead and stamp that sentiment that says you're on the nice list, also on a piece of Nina Solar white cardstock. I'm just going to stamp it down there right at the bottom, and then I am going to trim that out with my paper cutter or sentiment strip dies. I can't remember which one I used. Guess we'll find out together in just a second. The sentiment strip dies. So these are the Simon Says Stamp sentiment strip dies, and they come in a variety of widths so that you can just cut out any stamped image, stamped sentiment you have in your stash. I am going to go ahead and use that same piece of blue paper tape to tape that down, and voila, through the magic of video editing, which sometimes I do better than others, you can see that I have trimmed out my sentiment strip. I will go ahead and adhere that down to the front of the card with my ATG tape runner. It probably would have been nice to add that to a little piece of green paper, but I didn't, and that's okay. So here we have a a little screenshot of all 3 cards and my action wobblers one more time because I love them. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I hope you have a fabulous day. Here's another video for you to watch and a subscribe button. And if you have not done so already, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. Bye.